Stay with me until the end, because only then will you understand the full story behind Meghan Markle's Netflix comeback and why it has left so many fans divided. This isn't just another celebrity headline. It's a moment that has shaken the entertainment industry and sparked conversations worldwide. When Meghan Markle stepped away from royal duties alongside Prince Harry, the world speculated what her next move would be. For a while, she maintained a relatively low profile, appearing in select interviews and working behind the scenes on philanthropic projects. But then came her surprise re-entry into mainstream entertainment through Netflix, a deal that instantly put her back in the spotlight. Fans had been waiting for a glimpse of what Meghan would bring to the screen, and when the first details surfaced, the reactions were anything but ordinary. On one hand, supporters praised her boldness, calling her a voice for change and someone determined to control her own narrative. They saw this Netflix comeback as a powerful statement of independence, proof that Meghan was ready to carve out her own path far from the shadow of Buckingham Palace. But on the other hand, critics weren't so impressed. Some accused her of exploiting her royal connection, while others felt the content didn't live up to the massive hype surrounding her return. This divide only grew as trailers, teasers, and early reviews spread across social media. Some fans were hooked instantly, intrigued by the glamorous yet controversial tone. Others rolled their eyes, dismissing it as another attempt to chase fame rather than substance. The clash of opinions turned Meghan's comeback into a global talking point. And trust me, as we go deeper, the twists in this story will only get more surprising. By the time Meghan Markle's Netflix project officially dropped, anticipation had reached fever pitch. Viewers tuned in from all corners of the globe, expecting something groundbreaking. And in many ways, Meghan delivered. The production was polished, the storytelling ambitious, and her presence on screen undeniable. But what truly captured attention was not just the content. It was the narrative she chose to share and the way she positioned herself in the spotlight once again. For fans who have followed her journey since her Suits days, this comeback felt like a triumphant return. They saw a woman reclaiming her space in Hollywood, this time with the freedom to produce and create stories that align with her voice. Social media buzzed with admiration, with supporters calling it a breath of fresh air. For them, this wasn't just entertainment. It was proof that Meghan could thrive beyond the royal image that once confined her. But the backlash was equally intense. Critics dissected every frame, accusing Meghan of leaning too heavily on her royal past to gain attention. Commentators argued that while the visuals were stunning, the storytelling lacked originality, and some viewers found the tone too self-indulgent. The negative reviews quickly gained traction, fueling heated debates across online forums, podcasts, and news outlets. What made things even more interesting was the unpredictable mix of celebrity endorsements and subtle jabs from insiders. Some Hollywood figures openly praised her courage, while others questioned whether the project was truly about storytelling or simply about spotlighting Meghan herself. This tug-of-war between praise and criticism turned her Netflix comeback into more than just a release. It became a cultural moment. And the deeper you look, the clearer it becomes that this wasn't just about a show. It was about identity, power, and the battle for public perception. As reactions poured in, it became clear that Meghan Markle's Netflix comeback wasn't just about entertainment. It was about redefining her image on her own terms. For years, headlines painted her as either a victim of royal tradition or a rebel against the monarchy. Now, with this project, Meghan seemed determined to show the world that she could be more than just a royal figure turned celebrity. She wanted to be seen as a creator, a producer, and most importantly, a storyteller. The series itself carried a strong mix of glamour and controversy. It showcased polished visuals and narratives designed to highlight resilience, independence, and ambition. For her supporters, this was exactly what they had been waiting for. A Meghan who wasn't afraid to stand tall and speak her truth. They saw it as inspirational, proof that she could rise above criticism and carve out a space for herself in a competitive industry. Fans flooded social media with praise, calling her comeback bold, empowering, and even historic. Yet the divide was impossible to ignore. Critics argued that despite all the effort, the project felt more like a personal branding exercise than an authentic piece of storytelling. The conversations quickly shifted from the show itself to Meghan's intentions. Was this truly about creativity, Or was it about maintaining relevance in the spotlight? These questions fueled endless debates online, with hashtags trending worldwide and media outlets dissecting every angle. The most fascinating twist was that, love her or hate her, Meghan had managed to capture global attention once again. The polarization only amplified her presence. For every critic who dismissed the project, there was a supporter ready to defend it passionately. And this tension, between admiration and skepticism, turned her Netflix comeback into one of the most talked-about celebrity events of the year. As the dust began to settle around Meghan Markle's Netflix comeback, one undeniable truth emerged. The project had reignited a cultural conversation that went far beyond streaming content. It wasn't just about whether viewers liked or disliked the series. It was about what Meghan represented. To her fans, she stood as a modern icon, someone who had broken free from centuries-old traditions to create her own destiny. To her critics, however, she remained a figure who constantly courted controversy, using her royal background as both a shield and a spotlight. The Netflix comeback amplified this divide. Social media platforms became battlegrounds, with heated debates playing out in real time. Supporters highlighted the courage it took for Meghan to put herself out there again after years of intense scrutiny. They argued that her voice mattered, and that her platform could inspire others facing similar challenges. But detractors weren't swayed. They accused her of chasing fame while cloaking her work in the language of empowerment. For them, the entire production was another chapter in what they viewed as Meghan's ongoing quest to control the narrative. What made the story even more gripping were the ripple effects. The British press doubled down on their criticism, while American outlets leaned into the theme of reinvention. Hollywood insiders whispered about whether this comeback would open new doors for Meghan or close them. And audiences around the world, even those who weren't typically invested in royal drama, found themselves drawn into the spectacle. By this stage, the Netflix comeback had evolved from a simple entertainment release into a global media storm. Every twist, every review, every reaction only added fuel to the fire. And with each passing day, Meghan's re-entry into the public eye seemed less like a return and more like the beginning of an entirely new chapter. In the end, Meghan Markle's Netflix comeback proved to be more than a headline. It was a turning point. The reactions may have been divided, but one thing was certain. She had captured global attention in a way few celebrities could. By stepping back into the spotlight through Netflix, Meghan forced audiences to confront their opinions of her once again, reigniting debates about power, independence, and legacy. For her supporters, the comeback was a masterstroke. They believed Meghan had finally claimed the freedom she was denied as a working royal, showing that her story could not be silenced or shaped by others. To them, this was an empowering moment, proof that she had transformed criticism into strength. They saw her as a trailblazer, someone willing to face backlash in order to redefine what it meant to be both royal and modern. But for her critics, the Netflix project only confirmed their doubts. They argued that the production placed Meghan at the center of attention rather than the stories themselves, reinforcing the idea that she was more concerned with image than substance. For this group, the comeback wasn't a bold reinvention. It was another attempt to keep her name in the headlines. Yet, the most striking element of the entire saga was the way it pulled people in, whether they admired her or not. The mix of glamour, controversy, and high-stakes storytelling ensured that Meghan Markle remained a topic everyone had an opinion about. And that, perhaps, was the real success of her comeback. She may not have united the world in applause, but she made sure no one could look away. So, as the credits rolled on her Netflix project, one thing was undeniable. Meghan Markle had rewritten the rules of her own story, leaving the world both captivated and divided.